I got a story about a couple who almost got completely screwed of over $30,000 because they bought a home. Now, this is not the responsibility, but it is their responsibility, and they almost got a penalty from the IRS. I'm going to tell you about the story. This couple bought a home in 2020 from foreign nationals. So the Zapulas, it's Brian and Ingrid Zapula, they bought a home for $790,000 from foreign nationals from Russia. Now it doesn't matter what country the foreign nationals are from, but how did they get stuck with a bill from the sellers? Well, it's really interesting and weird, but this is how the law works with the IRS rules. Here's what happened. They bought the home, they moved in, they're loving it. But months later, they got an invoice from the IRS for $30,000. Now, why would they get the bill from the IRS? Here's what happened, and this is a very odd scenario, but this can happen. So you need to just take one extra step to protect yourself, and I'll tell you exactly what that step is. What happened is this. They bought the home, and when you buy a property from a foreign national, there is a FIRPTA disclosure. And FIRPTA is about making sure that foreign transactions are handled properly. And what it does is it puts the responsibility of paying taxes on the buyer. So the seller's tax bill is now the responsibility of the buyer. So what does a buyer do? Well, quite simple. They make sure to use a title attorney or a title company or an attorney that is specializing in FIRPTA transactions. And then what they do is they withhold the money, the profit, the gain, as the IRS calls it, and they send it off to the IRS. So why would the buyers, in this case, have gotten an invoice from the IRS saying pay now or we will go and levy your home? Well, very, very simple. COVID hit. What does COVID have to do with it? Well, actually, it was the attorney that was selected in this transaction that completely screwed up, because this attorney made the closing happen and then they closed shop for 9 months. And then when they opened back up, they sent the money in. They're like, whoops, forgot to send that one. Then they sent it in. But unfortunately, there's a lot of penalties with the IRS, a lot of extra expenses that didn't need to happen. So what happened is they were surprised. So they got a hold of the attorney and said, hey, listen, I don't know why we're getting this bill. Apparently something is wrong. Can you please look into it? This attorney looked into it and then started giving him trouble. He didn't want to pay that $30,000 bill because, see, he collected the money, and because he didn't pay right away, penalties accrued, and now the buyers, the only ones who can actually be caught somehow. This is what Congress did, right? The Congress set up a way for the IRS to get paid, and unfortunately, they can't go after foreign nationals. They can only go after people who have a green card or live here and have assets here. So they did that. They wrote the letter and they said, you owe us $30,000. So what did the Zapulas do? Hey, what anyone would do. You contact reporters, and reporters got a hold of this attorney. They talked to them, and once there was some negative publicity, well, this attorney did the right thing and settled with the IRS and figured all of that out. But this does bring me to, what can you do, right? If you're a buyer, what can you do? Well, first of all, you're not going to be a buyer of property from foreign nationals without knowing it, because that is a required disclosure. So now if it wasn't disclosed, then that is definitely something that you can sue over, okay? You can sue your agent, the other agent, the closing attorney, name the sellers, name everyone in that lawsuit. And I'm not giving you legal advice because I'm not an attorney, I'm just a realtor in Sarasota, Florida, in case you want to move to paradise. I do sell homes here, but you can call me at 941-888-SOLD. But anyway, what happens is that you have to make sure that closing attorney sends the money. So what you do is, like, yeah, you close, right? You've been disclosed. You know they're foreign nationals. You make sure it's on the settlement statement that this money is being withheld, and then you ask that attorney for evidence of payment. Okay, and that's kind of what they didn't do. No, frankly, I've done a whole bunch of transactions with foreign nationals being sellers, and have I asked for that evidence? I can't say I have, because that attorney is the one who's responsible for following the rules, not me. But from reading this article, it just kind of gave me a mental checklist, an additional step to take if I'm going to be representing any buyers, or if I'm going to be a buyer, because I do invest in real estate, if I'm going to be a buyer from a foreign national, to make sure that they sent that check and ask for evidence of payment. Now, usually attorneys, what they don't actually like cut checks by writing them and signing them. What they do is they have an online bank login, and they request the payment to be made directly through that system. So they're able to give you a screenshot and confirmation from the online banking system. And that's all it takes, right? The Zapulas would have known, if they would have asked for that right after closing or the day of closing, they would have known that it wasn't cut yet, or at least it would have given that mental reminder to the closing attorney to do that. Well, live and learn, right? Thankfully, it all worked out okay for the Zapulas. Probably not so okay for the closing attorney. But still, we all make mistakes in life, and this is a good mistake to learn from others. And if you have an agent, make sure, and you're buying something, and you see FIRPTA, like withholdings for foreign national, make sure you do this.